StrengthsFinder's test has identified discipline as one of your strengths. Your world needs to be predictable, ordered, and planned. You need things to be line up in a way where you know you have control over them and you feel like you have a handle on everything that's going on in your life at any one time. Your world needs to be predictable, ordered, and planned, but also you instinctively impose structure on your world. You set up routines. Everybody knows you are the type of person that's going to say, okay, we have to do this, and we have to do this, and we have to do this. You focus on timelines and deadlines. So you not only make a list, but you put a deadline at the list, and you identify exactly what has to be done at each level of a project. You focus on timelines and deadlines, but you also break long-term projects into a series of specific short-term plans. You're the perfect project manager. In your world, if you have an objective, you instinctively know that you have to establish a series of tasks to be accomplished, and that those tasks have to be cut up into short enough, small enough tasks where they can be managed and controlled properly. And you also will establish a deadline for each one of those tasks so that you know when they have to be done. And you'll assign the person who's assigned to get it done, and will always know exactly where the project or whatever it is you have going on, where it is at any one time. You break long-terms and projects into short-term plans, but you also work through each plan diligently. You're the type of person that says, look, I need to be diligent about what I'm doing, so you'll follow through that task plan and make sure that you don't leave one until you've got the other one done. And if you have to leave and go to another one, you're just not easy until you go back and you can get that other one done and get it out of your hair. And you need precision. You need to make sure that not only the task got done, but if you're controlling the task and somebody else is doing it, you're going to go over the details with them to make sure that every little part of that process was completed correctly and to standard. You want to feel in control, so you establish these routines, these timelines, and all this structure to make sure that you can feel in control. All these help create a feeling of control because you manage your life this way. You feel like you've got it in control, you understand what's going on, and it gives you a sense of satisfaction also. This is an important, very important strength in team operations, in disciplining your life to function the way you want it to. In other words, being very proactive instead of reactive. When people come to you and they want you to be reactive, it might frustrate you because you're thinking, look, that doesn't fall into the plan. It interrupts what we're doing. Learn to go with the flow a little bit. Learn that changing the task plan can be a lot of fun, especially when you get to add another line on the item that you can check off. So learn to give and take there, and learn to be able to adjust your schedules properly. Especially help you if you have some kind of an automated system, even if it's just Excel or something like a project control software and that type of thing. Others sometimes can resent your need for order, but you shouldn't let it turn into conflict, like I mentioned. You must understand that not everyone feels your urge for predictability. So when these people come to you and want to change things, or they get a little annoyed because you want everything to go exactly the way it is, explain to them that you have this is one of your strengths. This is one of the skills that you have, is the ability to be able to establish timetables, to be able to establish tasks. And if we have a good reason for changing the sequence, if we have a good reason for changing, adding a task or removing a task, then you'll work with them on that, but that still needs to come according to a plan. And in a team environment, when you have a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people working on a team, especially if it's a project team, they're gonna appreciate your ability to be able to keep things going, to be able to keep them a complete log of exactly what's going on, and to be able to control and keep things from getting out of whack, and scope creep and that kind of thing is something that you can help control, and they'll do well to pay attention to what you're talking about. You can help them understand and even appreciate your need for structure, your dislike of surprises, the fact you don't like errors, routine, and detail orientation is what you're all about, and errors seem to interrupt that and give you some trouble. So let's talk about your action items. You should seek out roles and responsibilities where structure exists, where you already have a structure. I mentioned something as straightforward as project management, or working on teams in a team environment as a manager where you have projects that have to be managed, or you're working in an environment, especially in engineering type environments where there needs to be solid structure to what it is people are working on, and things need to be done in order, and they need to meet specific standards. So don't hesitate to ensure that things are right. And when people have a hesitancy to go through the detail, let them know that that's one of your strengths, to help keep them out of trouble, because you're the kind of person, you have the skill set to keep people out of trouble when it comes to this kind of thing. Learn how to use a time management system to build confidence. One of the primary ways to help keep yourself in control is to have a time management system. Time management starts with establishing clear-cut objectives. With those objectives, a series of tasks that have to be completed to meet that objective, and with that objective, standards that you can establish that speak of how that task is to be completed, and make sure that this stuff is measurable. That'll allow you to control your time to a certain extent. But probably the most important tool for time management is the ability to be able to daily go through the tasks you have to do, order them in order of priority. Figure out which ones only you can do and make sure those are on the top of the list. And then when you get those on the top of the list, prioritize them. And then make sure that you're working on those one at a time. And then another time management hint I can give you is to make sure that when you're dividing your day up, set certain blocks of time. You cannot be productive in tasks that take more than an hour and a half to do if you're breaking them up into 3 or 4 different pieces that are shorter than an hour and a half. You're going to find that that's a big waste of time. Studies show that anything that less than an hour and a half of heads down, concentrated task work is a waste of time. You need to set yourself up blocks of time. And so if you have meetings, schedule a block of day that's as much as in your control anyway, that block of the day is for meetings, and set yourself up task time that's nothing less than an hour and a half so that you can focus and concentrate, because you're the type of person going to work in an environment where you're going to need that. Create routines that make you follow through systematically. People will appreciate your rigorous predictability, and especially in the area of project management, like I mentioned, or in a situation where you're in charge of a large crew of people, or even if you're an engineering type person and you're working in an engineering field, you'll find that everybody will appreciate the fact that, hey, he said he's going to do it. It's on the task list. He'll just get it done. They'll know you for that. And you can help other people add a little order to their life also. You can find people that seem to be very reactive because of the type of environment they're in. Maybe they're in a sales environment and their time is controlled by the customer needs, or maybe you know somebody in customer service. Maybe your wife is totally in a reactive mode with the kids. Maybe your best friend is in a reactive mode. If they are, help them understand your systems that you use for putting things in a task and orderly format, and they'll help them get things done. Okay, be ready to explain your discipline theme to your close associates. As I mentioned before, it'll be very helpful for them, and they'll understand why you work the way you do. Just make sure that they understand, hey, this is a strength. This is not something that you do because of something that you've kind of learned to do. It's just who you are. It's how you operate. And then recognize that many others are not as disciplined as you are. More than likely, their clumsy process will frustrate you, especially when you get the outgoing types, when you get the types of people that walk in the door mouth first. And I happen to be one of those types of people. We'll tend to frustrate people with discipline because we just like to do things. We like to change things constantly. In my world, change is the real constant. So when you meet people like us and you have to work with us, and you do, and you might be married to one of them, or you might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you might be in a situation where this is exactly what's going on. You've got somebody who's really outgoing. You're wondering why they frustrate you so much. You don't have to let it frustrate you. Talk to them, understand what their strengths are, and look to and understand their strengths, where they're coming from, and how that can be a real benefit to a mutual relationship when other people are different than you are. So don't let it frustrate you. Let this discipline theme carry itself out and work itself out in your life with it working.